I was researching the history of Orlando Public Library, and I came across a story of a woman named Eddie T. Jackson, and she was the librarian at one of the African American branches in Orlando. And I had a realization that libraries would have been segregated. And of course, I knew, I knew about segregation in schools and other public areas, but I just never made the conscious connection that libraries will also have been segregated, and not only would be like one of the main actors in upholding segregation. So once I realized that, I said I have to know more. I have to know, where could Black people go to the library? What access did they have? So yeah, her story kind of ignited this whole research project, and it was the first statewide examination of library services to African Americans throughout time in Florida. Um, it focused mainly on public libraries, but also on some of our HBCUs in Florida. Those were some of the before public libraries really started to take off. Bethune-Cookman and FAMU, but it wasn't FAMU back then. Those were the two places that offered library services. But other than that, I would say I was really surprised about some aspects and not surprised about others. So it was library service African Americans in Florida. It started pretty early in library development. The first place was in Jacksonville in 1905. There was a Carnegie Library that opened with segregated reading rooms. And I have photos of the reading rooms and two of the librarians who worked in the colored reading rooms. And but as time went on, like, development was pretty slow. Tampa was the second. They opened, instead of, having a main library with segregated reading rooms, they decided to open a Negro branch in 1919, and then Orlando kind of followed their model in 1924. So this is actually the 100-year anniversary of the Negro Library branch in Orlando, and that's in Eddie T. Jackson and her work there. And so it's kind of like all coming full circle. So I definitely feel like, she's kind of been guiding this project. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's amazing, and I'm glad you're doing that work. I know. What did you find out about the branch that's in Miami? There was a location in Miami that I think some Black community members got together and like purchased the land for, or something like that. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah. So in Miami was one of the first 5 libraries to offer services to African Americans. There was a branch, a community library branch that the larger Miami Public Library, it wasn't a system at that time, but the city library did kind of consider it as a part of the library system. It was the DORSEY Memorial Branch. Let me pull this up for you.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
DORSEY
Yep.
Memorial Branch, it was in a woman's kind of garden building in her backyard, in her garden.
Yeah.
But later, the first like official library building in Miami was that building was the first building that the library system purchased specifically for library purposes, and that was
Yeah.
the DUNBAR branch. And
Dunbar. Yeah.
the land was purchased with the help of a Black philanthropist, and so I think
Right.
Dunbar was his name.